Testing, testing, testing. And we are alive. Okay, we're alive and we're alive. Quick little alive. I want to talk about something. I want to talk about changing perspectives. Um, Oftentimes, when you, uh, and I'm learning this through my experience over the past, today's day 92. Over the past 92 days of trying to do something that's completely um, different to how possibly your life was, or changing your routine to be able to focus on something, um, it has an effect on perspective. It has an important and lasting effect on perspective because it changes the way that you feel about things. That's what I'm noticing, and that's fascinating. It's like, has anything else changed? No, not really. Life is pretty much the same, but the way you experience it changes. And this is a little bit piggybacking off of yesterday's live, but when you are focused on something, nothing else matters. And one sec. And things may feel like they matter, and you may feel like you are not spending enough time on this or not spending enough time on this, or you may even miss your old habits. And missing old habits is fine, it's part of the course. The thing is, if you do it for long enough, you stop caring about that thing, you know? Like, I'm trying to keep it as vague as possible. I'm speaking gray. And yeah, and here's the thing, and here's the important part: it's not as cool as it feels. Right? Right? A change in perspective can be eye opening, it can be life changing, it can do a lot of good things for you. But that's all it is. It's a change in perspective, it's nothing else. And you can achieve that. You can achieve a different result by doing something else. If you do one thing, you may get this perspective, and if you do another thing, you may get this perspective. But one thing is for sure, is that all of that useless stuff begins to matter a lot less, right? What you find important may be different, but as you move towards a goal, as you move towards something, the things behind you begin to get blurry and almost irrelevant, right? It's as if you take a step up and you look above the clouds and you see, oh, I can actually see a lot further than I could see before. And you may still have the previous floor in memory, but once you've gone above that, it's vastly different. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about today. And the reason I picked that picture of Musashi is because that's incredibly corny. If you're going through a life changing, or perhaps an important part of your life, and you perhaps feel quite zen, or you feel quite, a certain way, you maybe read a quote by someone intellectual or wise, and you think, well, I guess I'm relating to that person, and I'm following in that footstep, and wow, it's so cool, and I'm so elevated. No, not really. It's the age old welcome to the slaughterhouse. It's all the same, really. Life hasn't changed. It's just the way you're looking at it has changed. And there's nothing really special about that. Not to anyone else, but you. You know what I mean? So, a lot less business talk today. I've not a lot of business talk today, but it's very related. As far as it goes in improving possible mental health, possible ooh, notification. We'll have to watch that later. Um, Possible perspective change, perhaps getting over something that was bothering you. Um, what eventually happens is you learn to play the infinite game, right? And what the infinite game is, it's a game that you don't lose, right? There's a lot of things in life where when you chase it, you know, someone gains and someone loses. You either gain and you don't have a lot of gratitude for it, or you lose and you become obsessed with it, obsessed with the loss, obsessed with uh, low self-esteem or revenge or any negative emotion. But when you play the infinite game, where the journey, the game itself, the ability to play is the reward. You are never short of gratitude, and you are never short of positive emotions. And I would argue personally, this is my own personal take, so take it with a grain of salt. But I would argue personally that too much positive emotion is also a kind of a bad thing. Highs and lows are yin and yang. One has to occur for the other to exist. So if you put enough pressure on something that it becomes a source of great happiness, then there is then you know a great potential for you to be at risk for great disappointment. And I would argue that once you become outcome independent, regardless of what the outcome is, you remain in a state of neutrality. A lot of big words. And being neutral, you know, is probably the best thing. Like, you don't want to hate something too much. You don't want to like something too much, um, because it distracts you from the goal, right? And the goal is unified with neutrality. It's only when you are neutral that you are able to focus on the path ahead, when you are able to take steps in the direction of your goal. And, too many highs, and perhaps you're distracted with, your friends, or you're too excited to work, or you just want to do this and you want to have fun, and you're so happy about the way things are that you're not focused on more important things. You kind of begin to look inwards for happiness, and inwards is an unpleasant place, or it can be. And in on the other side, you became hungry for external validation, and that's bad too, where you feel so negative about yourself that that you look outwards, because inside is so rotten. You look outwards for some sort of something to tell you it's okay, and both are bad. you know Um, I would argue. Obviously, one is worse than the other, but a state of neutrality it just comes to you as a result of doing something important, doing something difficult. Because as you do more and more of it, you realize how important being neutral to stimuli is, whether it's internal or external stimuli, you know? And that's what you want to aim for. But here's the thing, you don't just get neutrality. You can't just be neutral. You ever seen those like people that like have really like high stress jobs, and not in like movies and TV shows, but in like real life, and they're always usually just kind of like have this face? That's neutrality, right? That that is not, and it's entirely possible that that comes from a kind of natural disposition to that kind of behavior. But at the same time, you know, you could be a rowdy kid and then you grow up to be that person. But why is that? You could be a very depressed person, but then you grow up to be that kind of neutral character. And that comes either from a natural disposition, natural instinct to behave in a certain way, or it comes from having something important or difficult to do that you're doing. And in the beninging, in the attempt of reaching closer to that, you reach neutrality because as you become more and more, let's call it obsessed with that purpose, you don't want to be too happy with yourself and become perhaps too prideful and cause hindrances for yourself or even to others, and perhaps become prone to celebration, and that leads to more distraction and weight gain, perhaps due to a lack of focus on your diet because you want to celebrate all the time and you want to eat and feel good. Or on the other hand, you want to starve yourself because you're angry at yourself, or any other reason, because you're like, I have to focus because if I don't, then this happens. um, or anything else, any sort of negative emotion. And it's a bad mix. Good and bad, both are bad. Positive, negative, both are negative. It's just math. You get the plus and you get the negative. You combine them together, and you multiply them, and you get negative. And the only thing that never changes is the equal sign, because it just stays. It just stays equal. It's just a state of equality. It's just neutral. It always solves itself. It's just like, okay, well, we've got 32 on this side, but we've got 16x on this side. X is 2. Okay, X is 2. Whatever. And oh crap. 1 20 seconds. And we're back, and I lost my spot. I had to remind someone of something really quickly, but we're all good now. Um, in other news, things are going well. Um, Puzzle pieces fit. Work needs to be done. Um, we have reached the precipice of 1 plus n. It's all it takes. Time under tension. You just put the time in, and eventually, enough effort. You, it's like you go forward and you might be off angle, but as long as you keep focus, it's like you might slam into a wall, right? And that's painful and it hurts. It's difficult mentally. It could be difficult physically. You hit a wall, and then what do? You go forward and you go in a direction that isn't the wall, and then you keep going. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to hit another wall. And eventually, what happens is, as you go forward and you hit a wall and you hit a wall and you hit a wall, slowly but surely, you begin getting closer to the goal. Boop. You know what I mean? It's just math. It's the math of existence. It does not change. I'm mesmerized. I'm fascinated by this. I was blind, but now I see. Life just works, but only if you make it work, right? Like you ride a bike. Like you can just ride a bike, but you have to pedal it. And sometimes you pedal a little bit and your legs hurt, and it's painful. And if you keep pedaling, you'll get further. And if you keep showing up and pedaling, eventually you get better at it. You pedal for longer, and then one day someone sees you cycling, um, and they're like, I can't fathom how they're able to cycle that much. I feel like I'm really stringing this cycling metaphor along, but it feels good. I feel good. I feel good. Things are good. Plenty of work to do. I would argue that as hard as the journey has been to here, the real work begins now, and I'm actually incredibly excited. I can't wait to just begin and really figure this problem out. Right? It's always a problem. Everything's a problem, no matter what you're doing. Getting on live is a problem. You have to make sure you have sound. Make sure you have a good place to do it. Although I've had trouble with that, but we figured it out. We figured it out. And everything's a problem. Every single step, every single thing is like a little, little thing that you just have to adjust or figure out, and then eventually, well, like good things happen. And if you focus on being a good person and doing good things for the world around you, and you always keep that in mind, uh, good things will always happen. Um, yeah, good things will always happen if you try to do good things. If you're always trying to do good things, then good things will happen. You understand? Okay, a bit of a yap sesh, bit of a ramble sesh, but you know what it is with these things when you've focused heavily on a certain type of thing, you get when you focus on a certain type of thing, you get like pockets of time where you're doing one thing. You're doing one thing, and there's only so many updates I can give about it. So things get a little philosophical sometimes because the mind wanders. The mind wanders, and you have to get philosophical to be able to deal with the thing that you're doing and the fact that you're doing it so much. It's perhaps a coping mechanism by the brain, a defense mechanism against boredom. But if it works, it works. I'm not going to complain. Is it boring? No, no, it's not. It's the most important thing there is. All right, be good, do good things, and subscribe, and good things will happen. And good things are actually happening. So stay blessed. and I'll see you tomorrow.